This time on Furious Driving the Garage, I hit a Rover V8 with a hammer. Spend more time trying to work out where my Mercedes is dripping petrol from, and I'm confused by bits dropping off the Alfa. First, the Rover oil pump. Well, this oil pump has now been marinating in WD-40 for nearly a week, and by marinating I mean dripping slowly across the desk and worktop so everything is now very slippery. I wonder if this is going to be enough to allow me to knock these components out, still dripping, of the housing. To try and get an even sort of blast or even sort of pressure on the top of this slotted drive bar, I'm using a 13mm socket on an extension bar, and I've got cardboard over the top of my vise so I don't try and damage, or try not to damage the aluminium casting too badly, and see if this will shift it a tad. It's a no. I also try not to break the Alfa Romeo sign, and I waited a couple of years to find a decent one of these things, and now I've had it up on the wall a month. I don't want to smash it with a hammer. I think what I need to do is move everything else down that way a bit so it's a bit less vulnerable. There goes the light. Chuck a bit more WD-40 in there, give it a bit more lube. Oh, I felt it move then. That is reluctant to come out. Oh no! No! Oh! That was a box full of all the nuts and bolts that go into the engine, and they just fell on the floor. There are none left now. Bother. Well, it's nearly all the way out. See if this last tap will do it. That's free. It's free, but the shaft is still, oh my god, the shaft's still wedged in solid. So it doesn't actually want to move even though it's free. I have to beat it all the way out. God damn. I'm going to try a screwdriver. That's too big. Let's go to the smaller one. It just falls out. Not the greatest day at work ever. Damn! How is that thing welded in there so hard? Oh, it's not all the way out, but I can measure it. Hang on, hold this thought. When I rung up v8tuner.co.uk, rung up the website, yeah, rung the people at the website, basically what they said, because I was ordering an SD1 oil pump insert kit, gear kit, because this is an SD1 timing cover. He said, just to be sure, measure the depth of this gear, because there are two different depths. There's 19mm, I think 26mm, I think is what he said, how deep they were. This one is oily, 24mm. Okay, so of the two choices, it's neither. Good start. But it does mean that will identify which kind of gear set I need to go and get. Although the SD1 gear set that they sell, which is the correct one and they are the go-to people for this stuff, has got the reverse of this on it, whereas this is a slotted drive stick. They have one which is like the tang, the screwdriver tang, which would drop into the reverse version, or that effectively, on the bottom of a distributor. I've just been yelled at from indoors saying it's very late to be slamming around with a hammer. It is about 10:30 at night, and if my wife can hear it and complain, then I'm sure the neighbours can as well. So I'm going to have to sign off for the night and pick this up tomorrow after work. So I'll join you then. Now it's the next day, and because I'm an idiot, I forgot to plug the microphone in. I took the timing cover to my local garage and asked if they had some kind of hydraulic press that they could just easily push this thing out with and get it over and done with. But they said, to be honest, they'd be doing exactly what I'd be doing, just tapping it with a hammer and tapping it back and forth. Now it's come out a little way just to loosen it off. So I took it home, and that's exactly what I carried on doing until it came out. So now, after that little adventure, which I'm going to refer back to in the future as the bad time, these oil pump gears are out of the timing cover. Hurrah! But that means something else has got to go back into the oil pump. Now, looking closely at these, they are a bad word, beginning with f, d. Yeah, they're not going back in. They are really corroded on the surfaces. That one's got a few nicks in it, or is hammering it out. Yeah, that is basically scrap metal. It can pay for itself in the other way. Now, something I thought about all along anyway, I'd never committed to doing it because it's £90 and I didn't want to spend another £90 on this engine, is a high volume oil pump, which I got from v8tuner.co.uk. I think it's part of RPI, I'm not quite sure. And there are some quite detailed instructions, which I'm dreading following because you have to drill holes and stuff in that, and I don't want to do that. But in this rather nice little box, which turned up the other day, we have a shiny new, I mean, look at this thing, it's a beautiful new oil pump gear set, which you can see is significantly bigger than the original, and that's going to pass an awful lot more oil through the through the engine really. And luckily it has the same fitting as the other one, because a couple I saw online had the opposite version of that, whereas if that's the female it was the male. I wasn't quite sure how that was going to work. Also have this version of this, again much bigger. So between these two, a nice intermeshing. Well, that's quite fun actually, it's like therapeutic. I might do an AMSR video on this, one of those relaxing things people watch for 10 hours. It's quite a nice noise as well. Do you know, I'll probably make far more money doing those kind of just videoing a plant rustling for 10 hours or gear wheels turning for 10 hours than actually working on these cars. I can go and pay a real mechanic to go and work on the cars. There's a thought. But then what would you watch? Hobnut probably. Okay, so there's nice new nuts and bolts and a drill bit, because I've got to drill a hole somewhere, which I don't want to do. I have a spacer to go in between the oil pump body and the front plate, the timing cover plate, and a template for a gasket as well, and apparently there's a template in there to drill through as well. But before I do any of that, I need to get this apart. Now, the very helpful man at, still full of WD-40, the very helpful man at V8 Tuner, who has built more V8 engines than I've had hot dinners, said that the way to get this stuck thing apart is to whack it with a hammer in that direction, and that will crush down the copper washer and then free it off. So I'm going to get a hammer and I'm going to hit it. I just watched a video on Aging Wheels about how he built Tavares's workbenches. This is actually a surprisingly sturdy workbench that I built for free. I wish I'd been YouTubing at the time, because I could have made a nice little video from it. The reason it was free? My next door neighbour is a builder, and this was a leftover laminate kitchen worktop that was sat out on the back of his van and he didn't want to do it, and he let me have it for naught. My Shell petrol tokens were gathering dust in my wallet. I traded them in for B&Q vouchers, so all the thick 2x4 type, you know, or probably even bigger than that, sturdy leg wood stuff came from B&Q, from trading in B&Q vouchers, as did all the fixtures and fittings. And that same Christmas, I actually had a load more vouchers from a cashback credit card, and Alfa had a massive sale on rolling toolboxes that winter, and I had enough vouchers from buying all my petrol at Shell on that credit card. I had enough vouchers to go and buy that whole workstation thing. So this entire worky end of the garage was free. Now, couple with my £9 TV, I'm a bit of a cheapskate, it would appear. Why is no one rushing to my defence? Oh, 1 inch. 1 inch is the right size. Haha, what are the chances? How can I get this apart without breaking it? This will be way easier if it's still bolted to the engine. lots of cardboard, so hopefully I don't... Oh, damn it. It doesn't stay in there. Ah, it's free! Haha! Finally! It's free! It says I need to replace this spring, which I forgot to order, and this copper washer, which I forgot to order. And then I've got to regrind the relief valve back in with, you know, like valve lapping paste or something. But this won't move at all. The spring's out, but nothing inside there is shifting, so it's all a bit gummed up. I don't know if I need to go and buy a new one of these. Oh bother, there's always something, isn't there? Trying to find a way to remove that stuck plunger, I took off the other little blanking cap, but there's no access inside. The passageways don't meet up, and there's no way of wriggling a screwdriver around this thing, so I'm just going to fill it with WD-40 and hope for the best while I go and think about this. It's been a couple of weeks since I've featured the Mercedes, and in that time something's changed. It's facing the other way now. The last time I featured this car, it was dragging it out behind the Rover Tomcat on a bit of rope, saying, I hope this is the last time I have to do this. And thanks to help from the bloke next door and his mate, and the three of us shoving it up that quite steep drive and doing a weird pushy 3-point turn, it's now facing the other way, so I can get to the back of the car without having to tow it out every time I want to do any work to it. So I can get these ramps underneath it, and hopefully, wet paint still, get those fuel lines off and get the thing running. Maybe probably not this weekend though, but we'll take a stab at it. Well, cup of tea first. That was hard work. As these vintage Halford ramps are going to be sat outside for a while, I'm giving them a quick coat of Hammerite to try and protect them and stop the car falling through them. Beautiful. My two biggest rational fears are spiders and getting underneath jacked up cars. I've got these ramps under the wheels so it can't go anywhere. When I am underneath the car, the axle stands will go back underneath the jacking point under the sill. So I've got extra safety in there because I don't like going underneath cars at all, especially not ones that are big, old and rusty like this one. Right, now I can go and look at those fuel lines. So first up, I'm going to give this another crack at tightening up. I don't like that much petrol being around those wires. Well, this pipe between the pump and the filter is still damp, so either I've got a dodgy washer or more likely a corroded pipe. So I'm going to be shopping for one of those soon as well. Now it looks like the rubber hoses are actually in better condition than the metal hard lines they run into, which seem to have corroded up above the suspension. That big beam that's running left to right across the car, that's a massive crossmember. That's a massive crossmember that the suspension hangs from. What I'm now wondering is if I can take off those short lengths of rubber hose and cut back the hard line further along the car, and if it's safe to replace that rubber hose with some braided flexible line, so I haven't got to make up hard lines and put them in an almost impossible to get to position behind the differential and the suspension. I can't believe this has broken already. I noticed the Alfa's exhaust was hanging low the other day. I can't believe these hangers are dropped off already. I only changed them for the MOT just before Christmas and the car's been on sawn since then. So how have they broken in the drive with 0 miles? I'm not impressed with that, but I'm going to do exactly what the last owner did and hang this thing back together with cable ties, because that seemed to be working quite well for the last year. I will use heavy duty ones and add some more when I go and buy some more. At least it might be an excuse to go and buy a new exhaust, perhaps. Thanks for watching this nonsense, and join me again next time. Oh well, it's not pretty, but it holds it better than the actual proper thing does.